So obviously, May the 4th be with everyone. May the 4th. It's like May the Force. It became like it's a Star Wars day. I don't know what we seem confused about it. I would if I had the time, I would get some lightsabers together and costumes and we'd go go to one of those conventions or something. I don't know. Well, I'm sure not going to Disney, I can tell you that much. Steve Wonder here from GetRubix.com, and today I'm going to address a pretty common ask I get is how do we make the autopilot experience a little better for end users and kind of notify them on what's going on, especially if they're at the desktop and they're still waiting for some apps or policies to kick in. We're going to use a toast notification and give them an option to kind of browse the company portal. So we've done Toast in the past, but here we're going to go a little deeper into it and how we can deploy this as an app with Intune. Yeah, right. It doesn't make sense. So you got Mickey Mouse is hanging out with Yoda now, or what's that? What's going to happen with that?
Get Rubix, solving for the modern workplace.
Okay, so before we get started, I want to kind of start backwards and show you the actual solution and what happened. So I just logged into a device that was deployed with Autopilot. As you can see, some things are showing up. All right, so if you take a look, this is what happened. I got this notification with my image, and I can see you got this button for Browse Apps. Your PC will be ready soon. In the meantime, click below to see the apps available. So if I hit Browse Apps, it's going to take me right to the company portal. So that kind of lets, if we just open this again, so hey, yeah, your PC will be ready soon. You see I got the hero image. We're going to show you how to edit this to what you want. They can dismiss it, but when they click Browse Apps, it pops this open, and what's nice is they can immediately start looking while they're waiting and maybe pick some other things. So in general, that's a pretty solid experience. Okay, so how do we make that happen? So this is going to be an app, and I'm going to make a new folder on the desktop, and I'm going to call the folder Toast. Let's go ahead and open that up, and a few things here. We're going to need a few documents, so we're going to need the toast.ps1. We are going to need, and this will all be available in the GitHub. It will be in the GitHub. I'm not going to leave you hanging this time. Toast XML. So we're going to have to set a task. And then ultimately what we're going to do is we'll need an install.ps1. And we're also going to need 2 pictures if you want. I'm going to actually take these pictures I have here, and I'm actually going to name them. So my badge is the logo, and this one is going to be and this is my hero image, right? So this is the image that's kind of the bigger one that shows up like a banner. And then the logo is the tinier one, right? So it's just going to be like a square or a circle. So that's everything we're going to need. So why don't we start with the actual Toast PS1? And let's explain how this is going to work. One of the challenges with Toast notifications is that they generally have to run in the user context, which is a pain because everything we do from Intune is system context. So it becomes kind of hard to run. We used to do them with like tasks, set a task to run as the user for just the Toast part. But in this case, like the script is doing other things that the user wouldn't be able to do. So we're going to use a really important module here in order to help us with that. So let's go ahead and write that our modules, put them in an array. We're going to need 2 for this. The first one is going to be BurntToast. BurntToast is what's going to help us piece together the actual Toast notification. I'm going to put a link to it below. It makes it really easy to write your own Toast notifications. And the other one here is RunAsUser. All right, so we're going to install these for each module in modules. We're going to say installed equals get installed module name module error action silently continue, and then if it's not installed, we're going to try to install it. So we're going to say try install module, name module, confirm false, and then we'll force that. And then we will import the module. And then obviously if there's a problem, we can catch the error. Oh man, messing up today. That's how you know it's live. Right, host, error, installing module. And then we'll pass through the message there. And else, if it is installed, we'll just import it. Import module. All right, that takes care of the module. So the next thing we have to do is, when we saw that button before, the see if we can put a shot of it back up. When we saw the click on the browse apps button to open the company portal, that's not as simple as linking the app. You actually have to have a protocol in your in the registry that basically, it's like a handler that goes ahead and launches the app for you, and that's what the toast notification uses. So in order to do that, it basically has to be in the I'll show you here in the registry. It has to be in the HK classes root. And in this case, I have one called company portal. And in company portal, it has a shell command that basically tells it what I want to do. That's really all the protocol is, but we do have to go through a few things to flesh it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say first thing is a new PS drive, so that we can have the HKCR. HKCR, PS provider, registry, root is HKey classes, root, and then we'll do an error action, silently continue. We'll put an out null there. Okay. Protocol handler. So we have to check to see if this is already here. Not that it would be, but if this is something you start using again and you have different handlers for different things, I could see it getting convoluted. So we'd have to say HKCR dash company portal. And then we'll put an error in case it's not there. So if the protocol handler is not there, then we're going to create it. All right, so in order to create the protocol handler, it's a matter of setting a bunch of new items. So the first up is new item, and we can do HKCR, HKCR, company portal, force. All right, that takes care of that. Pretty easy, right? Then we'll set some properties within it. Set item property. Set item property path. We can actually make our path a little easier here. Let's do this. Reg path equals HKCR. Gotta stop writing L. Okay, get item. Reg path. Okay, this will actually be a little easier. We don't have to keep. Reg path. Name. So some of these are just some default things. The value is URL company portal. Force. Next we'll set item property path, reg path name, URL, protocol. No value on this one, so you just leave that blank. Okay, next up here is a new item property. And here we're going to specify the property type as a D word, name, edit, flags. This is just a default value, so you just copy this directly from what I have, 216.2688. New item, and this is going to be reg path shell open command force. So now that we have that, we're actually gonna set item property path reg path shell open. This is the one we just created. Command. The name is default. And the value, and this is the actual shell apps folder. Microsoft.company portal underscore and this really long value that I'm just gonna paste that one in. Okay, because that's the actual. So just so you know what this is, if you were to basically open this up and do, kind of show you here, if you were to say run shell apps folder, this is where the apps are, right? And we're basically pointing it to the company portal. So that's all this last part is. Oh, and we get that value by looking at the properties of the company portal. You actually have to, it's kind of interesting, you actually have to paste it to the desktop. So you would create shortcut, put it on the desktop, and then from here go properties, and there's your value under the target type. So kind of interesting, a little roundabout. So yeah, so this basically says when we call the protocol company portal, it means we want to launch that app. All right. Next thing to do is we need to create the toast notification now. So to create the toast notification, we're going to be using BurntToast, and there's a lot of parameters around it. Yeah, so if you look at the Microsoft docs, they kind of explain the different elements within a toast notification. And these do map to pieces in the PowerShell module. It's not a one-to-one ratio, but like the hero image, that's the big banner image we're using. Text is text, obviously. There's a logo override, that's the default logo. So it kind of explains what each thing means. So you're really just kind of filling it out. And that's what we're going to do in this module. So it's a lot easier than it used to be, just kind of making it yourself. So first thing we need is a text block. There's going to be two, so we'll call the first one text1. And these new BT text, new BurntToast text, these are all just built in. So you can just say, we're going to say welcome. And now we're going to make another text block to say, what did I write there? It was like, your PC will be ready soon. Click below to see the apps available for you to download. That's fine. All right, next we want our hero image. Now I recommend, and we put those in the root, so you can see I have hero.jpg. So we're going to do a new BT image. I wrote that in the wrong place. Bear with me. New BT image source is going to be, now here's the thing, we're not going to call it from here because it's not going to be sitting next to it. Because this is going to be run as a task, everything is ultimately going to be dumped in a local folder that we'll create in the install PS1. So that's going to be C program data, Microsoft Toast. That's where I'm going to put everything. And I'm going to call this hero.jpg. You can see I've already tested it there, so that folder exists for me. And we're going to tag that as the hero image. Our next image is going to be the logo. So it's going to be the same commandlet, BT image source, C program data, Microsoft Toast, and this is going to be the logo dot JPEG. Actually, that should be JPEG also. And instead of hero image, we're going to call this app logo override, because this is going to be our logo instead of the default logo, whatever that's going to be. Okay, those are our logos. Now we need two buttons. If you remember, there was the button to dismiss the notification and to open the company portal. So the first one, we'll call it, is the apps button. And that's going to be a new BT button. And the content will say browse apps. Now the argument will actually be company portal, and we're going to tell it the activity type is protocol. So now it'll look for a protocol handler with the same name, which will in turn launch the shell command. Okay. Cool. Next up, we need the dismiss button. New BT button, content, dismiss. And for our switch here, we could just say dismiss. That is a built-in feature of the BurntToast module. If you add the dismiss switch, it'll just get rid of that notification for us. So we're all good there. All right, now we have to kind of assemble everything. So there's basically the actions and the visuals. The actions are the things you click on. Obviously, the visuals are what you see. So let's do action first. The action is a new BT action, and that's going to consist of two buttons. You guessed it, the apps button and the dismiss button. Next, we're going to create a binding for all our visual elements. So it'll be a new BT binding, and the children of that are going to be text1, text2. Now we're going to do a hero image called hero, and the app logo override called logo. So that's our visual stuff, the text and images, and we'll put that in a variable called visual. That'll be a new BT visual, and the binding will be binding. It's kind of just snap it in. And finally, content is new BT content. The visual is the visual, and of course the actions is the action. And now all we have to do is submit the BT notification content, pass the content variable in. Okay, problem. All of this will only run as a user. And obviously if this is running from Intune, even as the task, because of all this registry stuff, there's no way we could do this as the user. So that's where our second module comes in, this RunAsUser. So underneath this code block, we're going to say invoke as current user, script block, code block. I guess we could have called it script block, but this way we're being difficult. And then we're just going to say to use Windows PowerShell. That's it. That'll basically allow you to run this as the user, even though we're running a system. And finally, because same thing we do with the migration stuff, we're going to disable this scheduled test that's run. And the test name is Toast. Error action, silently continue. All right, so that's our script for running this toast. Now, how do we get it on here? Well, what we have to do is we have to install it. So the actual Intune Win file will be this. It'll be, where are we looking here? So this one will be pretty short. This will be, we're going to create the path, our toast path. And we're going to say if there is no test path, we're going to make it. Okay. And then we're going to copy the contents of all of this locally. So copy item path, PS script root, all of it. Destination will be the path, recurse, force. Great. Now we just schedule the test. Create task name is toast. The XML is going to be path.toast XML force. That's it. Let's package it up and put it in Intune. Okay, so I'm going to run my Intune WinAppUtil as admin. We're going to say install.ps1 is the install file. Put it in the same directory. It's right there. Let's go ahead and put this in Intune. So we're going to go to Windows, add Win32. And now we just select what we just picked there. So this is going to be toast install.intunewin. You can call this toast notification. Obviously, whatever you want to write there is fine. So your install command is going to be... so it's going to be windir sysnative. We're basically going to point to the 64-bit PowerShell v1.o PowerShell exe execution policy bypass. What happened here? Oh, install.ps1. Very simple. That's the asterisk because we're not really uninstalling anything. We are probably going to want to figure out how to only run this during out-of-box experience so that it doesn't bother all our devices. So that's always something I might add to the GitHub. I didn't do it here. And then our detection rule could simply just be that path, Microsoft Toast, and we can point it to toast.xml. Doesn't really matter as long as it's one of those files to know it got on the device. And that's it. And then you assign it to your devices. One more thing you're going to have to do. I'm not going to click next. I already have one. When we go back to Windows enrollment and we take a look at the enrollment status page, it's very important that at least these two things are there. Now, of course, I always have the Autopilot branding, but you see, I also I put the toast in there because I want it to be there before the user signs in. So when they do sign in, it kicks off the task, which I just realized I forgot to show you. And the company portal app is on there as well. This is the system company portal, because when the user logs in and the task starts, that button has to launch something. So if company portal is not there, it's not going to work. So we have to do that. Let's hop back because I realized I just left out the task. Okay, so I just pasted this in. There's nothing that interesting here. This is pretty much the same as our migration tasks. Some things to call out. There's a logon trigger, so it'll run when someone logs in. Delays by a minute, just to make sure we're logged in and we can see it at the desktop. And then it is set to call the 64-bit PowerShell, and it's just running our Toast PS1. So that's really it here. This will be in the GitHub as well. Nothing super interesting. Just make sure you add your images to it. And yeah, that's it. So I think, obviously there's definitely a need for a little more user communication during an Autopilot provision device when you first get to Intune. And There's different things we're going to be looking at to test. I don't think it's a one size fits all. And some folks are kind of fine with the way things are, but this is kind of cool because at least it nudges users towards the company portal, and you can customize this a little bit. So it'll be here in the GitHub. Hop in the Discord if you have any questions, and we'll be seeing you.